And now I'd like to introduce our speakers. Today we have Martin Bishop, Vice President, Client Services at LiveWorld, and Tricia Kashima, Media Director at LiveWorld. Okay, we're ready to begin. Martin, over to you.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here to talk about AI today and its effect on brand perception and healthcare brands. And Trish and I will be walking through this as we go. So, but first, let's start with a little talk about LiveWorld itself. Who is LiveWorld? Well, we're an agency that helps healthcare brands get the most out of digital and social media. We do that by building on a foundation of proactive compliance and dynamic engagement and strategic insight with a range of products and services that help you get the most out of the digital and social media. So that's who LiveWorld is. And today, what we're going to talk about is AI. There's something we've been spending quite a lot of time thinking about over the last year and a half almost now, and how it affects both our clients and ourselves. And we think that it does make quite a bit of difference to how we go to market. So first today, we're talking about how AI search is different and why it matters. Then we'll be looking at the top 50 Pharma AI brand reputation index, see how you're all stacking up in terms of brand reputation today. And then Tricia's going to take over and talk about evolving your marketing media strategy to deal with this new AI reality. So let's start with a poll. And the poll is, how concerned are you about the way AI platforms currently represent your brand? Are you very concerned, somewhat concerned, not concerned, or not sure? So once again, how concerned are you about the way AI platforms currently represent your brand? A, B, C, or D? And we'll give you a few seconds here to come up with an answer. All right, everyone done? Pencils down. Let's see what the results are. Well, that's good. Very concerned and somewhat concerned, looks like, and not sure is that. And we think that's right. Tricia and I were talking just before this meeting, and we were saying, you know, how freaked out should people really be? And we decided that people should be freaked out, and we feel like it's our goal today to actually make you a little bit more freaked out than potentially you already are. This will have a big impact, we think. It's really going to impact paid search and just how you go to market in that area. And we think that, you know, for some companies, it could be 30% of your marketing budget, which is impacted by AI search, and which for, you know, some big pharma companies can be multi-millions worth of dollars. So it's good that you all seem to share our concern. The good news is we think there's something you can do about it, as we'll get into. So anyway, so tools like ChatGPT are influencing healthcare decisions already. And this is just with ChatGPT and the LLMs. Already 1/3 of consumers are using AI for health queries. And that's a big number, but what's more important is what's happening with Google, because Google is not just standing idly by waiting for ChatGPT and the other LLMs to take their business. They've reacted very swiftly to this as well. And as you'll see in a bit, their AI solutions are definitely impacting the way people are searching for stuff. AI is transforming what it means to search. And the big difference, and it turns out to be a consequential difference, is that AI gives you answers, not lists. So in the old days, 2 years ago, a traditional search would have given you, as you all know, a list of links to various sources, including paid search and paid ads and that kind of thing. And you would have looked through that and you would have clicked on the link that looked the best, and maybe it wasn't the right link, so you go back and click another link and you'd finally find what you were looking for. I mean, it wasn't a huge user effort, but it certainly was some user effort to find out what you wanted. And compare that to AI, where you really often need zero click. You don't have to click on anything. The answer's right there in front of you, and it gives you a direct and synthesized answer. And it's just less effort and a more satisfying user experience. As we all know, if something is less effort and provides a better experience, it's going to win out over the alternative. So here's an example. A question: is Ozempic better than Trulicity for type 2 diabetes? Somebody might ask. The traditional search in the past would have given you, and did give you, in fact, this is pulled from a real search, so it does still give you these answers. You know, you've got authoritative sources, in this case, WebMD, etc., that will give you a place to go and search for the answer to that question. On the other hand, ChatGPT gives you the answer right on the page. So right there on the page, not only just gives you the answer, but gives it you in a nice presented format too, and easy to read. There's nothing, I mean, you may still want to do more research. You may still want to go and click on something and find out more details, but you don't necessarily have to. And for other types of questions, you really won't have to. And so this sort of zero-click world is really going to be pretty dramatic and impactful on how you go to market. And as I said, Google is not standing idly by. It's also changing how it's approaching it. So on that previous search, what you actually get with Google now is not the traditional list of answers, list of links, but what you actually get is this AI answer from Google as well. And as you can see, it's different in format from the way that ChatGPT does it, but it is an answer. And so, and by providing the answer at the top of the page, it's crowding out and crowding down, pushing down all of the traditional search listings. And Philip Schindler, CBO of Google, at the Marketing Live conference a couple of weeks ago, confirmed that they're really all in on search, AI search. As he said, AI mode is a total reimagining of search. It expands what AI overviews can do with more advanced reasoning and multimodality, as well as conversational follow-ups available as a new tab directly in search. Together, AI overviews and AI mode are the cutting edge of what search can do. Overall, as I said, AI search is delivering a better user experience, and therefore we firmly believe that it's going to win out, and it's going to be the way search progresses and moves in the future. Now, important to know that AI doesn't know everything, and here I'm not going to go into talking about AI hallucinations and in fact it can give you wrong answers. Rather, I'm going to focus on where it pulls its information from, because it cannot access everything. It can only access what's essentially publicly facing information and open to consumers or HCP. So it can see Reddit, it can see X, it can see Facebook organic, it can see some places like drugs.com reviews and WebMD discussions. But on the other hand, it can't see what is not made publicly available: Amazon reviews, closed spaces like Pharma and Doximity, Facebook paid and closed health communities. And that, you could say, you could look at that as being a criticism of LLMs and ChatGPT. But on the other hand, from the other perspective, it's got you think about, okay, if I need to be seen, if I want to be seen, I've got to be seen in the places that AI actually looks. And so the focus should become on what AI can see and what's publicly available. So why does this matter? And Tricia will get in much more detail on this, but essentially old strategies are not going to work so well. There's the decline already being seen in search traffic. Paid content is being filtered out. The value of keywords is declining. That's a big part of the marketing spend. And so new strategies have to be adopted instead of that. You have to assess your brand strength from an AI perspective. You have to focus on publicly available content, and you have to make content AI friendly. And so we move from that to thinking about, okay, well, where do you start? Where should you start with all this? And we think it's important to sort of set a baseline to understand where you stand and understand how you benchmark against the competition. And that was the motivation for creating the AI Brand Reputation Index, which lists the top 50 pharma brands in terms of their AI brand reputation. And why brand reputation? Because brand reputation is a useful single idea or metric where you can compare yourself to competition and also understand your strengths and weaknesses. What brand reputation is just how consumers think about you, really, and what AI in this case also says about you. It's built from a combination of things. It's built from customer experiences. It's built from media and PR. social media presence, word of mouth, and crisis behavior, crisis response, and corporate behavior. And importantly, it's a blend of facts. Sometimes it's fact based on how well your drug, for example, is doing, and sometimes it's just opinion, what people are saying about you on Reddit. So we looked at AI brand reputation as being this useful benchmarking metric, and we worked to develop a score that is based on 7 reputation drivers. These you could read from here, but these are not all equally weighted. Efficacy and effectiveness is the most highly weighted driver, but all these other things, safety, HCP trust, patient sentiment, visibility, affordability, and availability, all play into what creates the brand reputation score. And so, as I said, we looked at the top 50 pharma brands. We ranked them by overall brand reputation. We use, in this case, ChatGPT, Grok, and Perplexity. We weighted those scores more towards ChatGPT than the other two, just because ChatGPT is more widely used. We did also 2 data set runs just to make sure that the correlation between the scores was good. And then we produced a report and included strategic takeaways. And this time around, the top brand in the index was Keytruda. It ranked number 1, followed by Trikafta, Opdivo, Ozempic, and Eliquis. And why Keytruda did well is, well, it just did well across the board, especially in efficacy, but also its marketing, strong marketing performance, and HCP trust. So our takeaways here were that looking at the index and also looking at the context of AI search, it's important, we think, to invest in monitoring. It's important to know what you do, where you are, what you're doing well, what's not coming out so well. It's important to reconsider some places which maybe have sort of not been so top of mind because they are publicly available information sources, things like Facebook, Organic, Reddit, and other AI accessible public forums. It's very important to build HCP and APP trust. Search strategy has to be adapted and changed, and Tricia will talk to that. And it's important to take advantage of the opportunity this is a disruptive change. This is one of those times when something's happened that's really changing the rules of the game. And those companies that are on that faster will have an advantage over those that are not. And finally, in terms of what we're doing, obviously we're doing the index here, which helps set that benchmark, and which we make available for everybody. We're also doing customized reports, which drill down into much more detail in terms of sentiment, patient and HCP sentiment, things like that. And we have the smaller report snapshots, we're calling them, client customized, that give you sort of a starting point to see what your reputation highlights are. And now, the second poll, and I'm going to hand this over to Tricia to walk through this and the rest of the presentation.
Before we get into paid media, we want to open up with another poll. So what best describes your organization's current approach to managing AI-driven brand perception? Is it A, you actively monitor and influence AI outputs? Or B, are you exploring how to start? C, are you relying on traditional SEO and PR strategies? Or D, are you not addressing it yet? So again, A, you're actively monitoring and influencing AI outputs, or B, you're exploring how to start, C, relying on traditional SEO and PR strategies, or D, you're not addressing it yet. Let me see. It's a good mix. I think that's good. I think a lot of the content we're discussing is really new. I mean, we're talking about Google's marketing summit was just not even like a month ago it happened, and all of this is changing so fast, and I think strategies are shifting quicker than we are used to. So this is a good place to start. It's on this too. Hopefully we can give some good strategies on how to navigate in this new environment. So Evolving your paid media strategy is really important because of the changes that we're seeing, especially with Google AI overviews. How are they affecting first and foremost paid search? And what we're seeing is that yes, the pro of this is that the quality of clicks that are coming through to websites are better than they typically see. But the big con of this is that we're seeing there's zero click-through rates. There's usually most of the time with an AI overview is being served, it's a one-stop shop for the information. So people are finding that information and being satisfied, not clicking through to any entities. And then when people are being served a Google AI overview on desktop or even on the mobile page, especially, the real estate for the AI overview is taking up usually about 30 to 50% of the screen, and the organic search results are being pushed further down the page. So you don't really even need to scroll really now to find the information that you're seeking. So yes, this features resulting in higher quality clicks, but stealing away clicks from our organic search. So how are we going to combat this? Brands must adapt both their paid search and SEO strategies to maintain brand relevance in this reality. Some of the critical pain points that we're seeing is that first, there's diminishing control over the brand narratives and these AI search environments. As brand managers and as marketers, we work really hard to craft that message, and we're finding that without proactive management, these carefully crafted messages can be diluted or misrepresented when filtering through these new AI-driven search interfaces. And that's really important. Earlier, what AI does is able to look at and basically having a defensive posture, a wait and see approach we're seeing is limiting that market share. Traditionally, in more conservative areas or more regulated areas like pharmaceutical marketing, we find that we prioritize risk mitigation over aggressive growth strategies, and that can be detrimental in this instance because competitors are effectively leveraging AI search. And those who are using it will capture greater impression share and patient engagement. It's really important to take control of your brand, take an offensive strategy, because without a strategy, it's leading to insufficient visibility into your evolving brand perception. As search behavior is evolving, we need to accurately track how brands are being perceived in these new AI environments and not creating a blind spot in our marketing efforts. One good example that came up, Google's marketing summit was held at the end of May and demonstrated how much paid search is evolving with AI. And this is the example that they featured was a search of how to bring small dogs on flights. And now the Google's AI is breaking down the query to understand both informational and the commercial needs. So in the AI overview that's being served for this particular search result, you'll find that first and foremost, the helpful information is coming out, like the airline policies, tips for flying with pets. It'll give you the lowdown and breakdown of how to best bring your small dog on your flight. But now at the tail end of that AI overview, they are serving ads, and this is where paid search is evolving and how they're going to be serving the most relevant ads for airline approved pet carriers appear at the right moments at the bottom of that search query. What Google is trying to accomplish is to bring that discovery process easier and more seamless. So they're trying to serve ads in more helpful situations and not interruptive. So that's really important because these one-click or instant answers are fundamentally transforming how people are searching for and looking at information online, and it's having a profound effect and relevance on both our paid ads, our traditional paid listings, and then even our traditional websites. Because of the rise of zero-click searches, we're seeing that in 2024, the end of 2024, nearly 60% of Google searches in the US ended without a click. And with the AI overviews being more prevalent, we're definitely going to see that increase in 2025. And with the AI summaries dominating page, we see that there's less traffic to websites. There's a drop in organic traffic, and then a reduced ad visibility overall. So how are we going to combat this? This is a question I get asked quite a bit. How is this different from traditional SEO? Traditional SEO is evolving faster because of AI-driven SEO. We're really seeing how SEO is evolving as Google rolls out its search generative experience, or SGE. Traditional SEO was all about, in the past, if those are familiar with it, how to optimize content to rank highly on a results page, driving traffic by appearing in the top part of the page to organic links. And what this was prior to AI was that the user did all the work. Ourselves, when researching a topic, would do all the work, we would click, we would compare and evaluate all different sources. Now, because of AI, we're asking AI to do that work for us. So Google's doing more of the work for the user. It's pulling from multiple sources to do that comparative analysis and generating a summarized answer at the top of the page. This also means that your content doesn't necessarily need to be ranked #1. It needs to be credible and structured enough to be edited and cited by AI. That's actually the most important part of it now versus the traditional route. So basically, we're asking AI to do the work for us and not doing the work ourselves. So this makes brand mentions in AI responses a new critical metric in measurement and control. Some areas that we're encouraging our clients to emphasize on is actually their own entities, like their own websites, Facebook organic, their own pages, how to structure that so that AI does cite your site, and actually it comes up more in this actual searches. So an example that we had was like, if your site's about dog training, for example, create content clusters around dog training, not just how to train a dog, but also these content clusters are related to the topic, like leash techniques, some behavioral psychology, even training tools. But just to be the expert on the topic and on the topic around it, so that you have the authoritative knowledge on that topic. We're also looking to AI-proof content. What AI cannot do is cannot replicate human experience. So include any sort of real experiences you have that you could feature on your website, any sort of expert quotes. We find that, HCP quotes, HCP expertise has been very helpful. Any sort of unique data or case studies that you could feature that are interesting on your website, as well as any sort of original videos and strong opinions also does help. Any sort of human experience or interaction is something that AI cannot generate on its own. And also, when creating these answers, write long tail answers that tailor to AI. Since AI is leading up to 0 clicks, what sort of information can we provide to our patients or our consumers that can be helpful to them to spend time on the site? We're encouraging our clients to offer downloadable resources like a free template or a guide that can incentivize users to sort of click through to the website and spend time and learn more about the brand in our controlled environment. So what LiveWorld's offering to help brands shift in this new reality is an integrated approach that delivers transformative benefits through strategic AI-optimized visibility, proactive reputation management across all search touchpoints, and a comprehensive competitive intelligence reports that reveals actionable insights. And what our strategic visibility into the AI search landscape offers is it combines a solution to broad match keywords with Google AI capabilities that will increase your brand's visibility. Also, implementing the Google Share Model platform will achieve strategic positioning against key competitors. We're also offering proactive brand perception management. Beyond visibility, we will implement an ongoing search query monitoring with sentiment analysis to protect your brand reputation. We will monitor that as well, are looking at strategic negative keywords, implementation and responsive ad optimization, ensuring that we will maintain a positive association and context with our brands. Lastly, we'll offer comprehensive competitive intelligence that delivers actionable insights through your position relative to competitors throughout impression share metrics, share of voice tracking, and sentiment analysis across target segments. So allowing this intelligence to be measured across targeted strategy adjustments that increase market presence. Protecting the integrity of our brand is really important. It's changing so fast, and just to take some action would help in this environment. Okay, hand off to Martin really quick for some key takeaways.
Yeah, back to me, and we all had our fingers crossed there for you, Tricia, that the sound wouldn't cut out completely, but we managed to get through. So anyway, key takeaways from all of this. So I hope we've by going through this and showing you examples, you get a feel for the fact that how AI and the fact that AI is transforming search and will influence, therefore, healthcare decisions. It is also going to help change the perception of your brand. Those companies that are able to, put their content in the right place at the right time and adjust their strategies to take into account, these differences in search are going to do well and are going to be able to improve their perception of the brand amongst consumers. We think it's important in this new world to establish a baseline, establish a competitive benchmark by monitoring your brand on AI and optimizing search. As Tricia just explained, SEO tactics are different than generative engine optimization, GEO tactics, and need to be considered. And finally, if you want to request a customized AI brand reputation report, you could do that. And if you want to see the full AI brand reputation index, you can do that too, either by sending an email to hello@liveworld.com, that's hello@liveworld.com, or just by visiting our website. And that is all we have. Now we'll have questions.
Great, yes, thank you. It's now time for our Q&A portion of today's webinar. So for our audience, if you haven't submitted your questions yet, please do so now. And let's get it kicked off. So our first question here, what makes LiveWorld's approach different from traditional PPC and SEO?
I think that's a question for Tricia.
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about it in the last slide a bit about what makes it different is that we take a conversation first, customer-centric approach that goes beyond the transactional mindset of PPC and SEO. I mean, that's Martin and I talked about this, before our call, that traditional PPC and SEO is very structured. It's very stringent. It was very I would say predictable, but there's like a rhyme and reason to everything that was being done. The focus is on keywords and clicks, and then now we're focusing on dialogue and depth using AI, social engagement, and content moderation to create these authentic, personalized interactions at scale. I think that's what's different is that we're focusing more on not just keywords and clicks. We're looking at content and being subject matter experts that will integrate, our paid media, our own channels, and our real-time social engagement, not to just drive visibility, but also the trust and conversation. We're really trying to get that brand perception to be as positive as it can, and as much as a narrative that we're trying to control. And that's probably a somewhat different approach that we've done in the past.
Great, thanks, Tricia. Our next question asks, what factors go into determining the top 50 pharma brands?
So there was a slide back. Can I go back into the presentation? I think I can, can't I? Here. There was a slide that we, actually have to push. Here we are. So there were 7 different reputation drivers. These 7 drivers were what created the overall score, right? So each driver is given a different weighting because they're not all as important as each other. Efficacy and effectiveness is the most important thing, but all these other things play a role. And so by weighting these different factors and then scoring each brand against each of these factors, we came up with a combined overall reputation score.
Great, thank you. Next question here. How do you measure the number of no clicks?
So yeah, we talked about measurement and how that's changing. There's a couple of strategies that we've done. we've used Google Search Console to track impressions without clicks. We're actually really trying to see how our content is being seen, even if it's not clicked. There's also an opportunity to look at queries where your page is being shown, but not even clicked on. There's a couple tools out there like Bright Edge, I think like SEM Rush for SEO that can detect if your content is being cited in AI generated answers. That's another opportunity to see. You can even track how often your brand is being referenced or summarized with these tools. And these tools are really evolving because it's changing so fast. So I would, those are probably the top, I think from the past, I've seen that those are the top two tools that are really leading the way on measurement. Also, we've also looked at running some brand search lift or some sort of brand sentiment lifts during campaigns. That's another way to try to measure your brand sentiment, your brand search lift during the campaigns, that you can see how it's being effective. But those are a couple of ideas that we've been implementing to see how our campaigns are still performing in this world.
Great. Next question here. How is the AI brand reputation report different from conventional brand reputation measurement?
That one's for me. Well, essentially, it's looking at what AI is saying about your brand, as opposed to what people may be thinking. So, what I mean by that is a typical brand reputation report would have had to have been done by surveys and questionnaires and maybe focus groups as well. So that would be, asking people what they think about a brand. This is about AI, what AI is saying about your brand. So it's a little different. It also means that the AI brand reputation report is more real time than a survey or a questionnaire would be, which is one moment in time. And so, the report that we've done does bear in mind is based on 12 months of data, but it is also weighted towards the last few months. And if there is a crisis or some really bad news, or I guess really good news about a brand, that will affect, pretty quickly or immediately the reputation score. So those are the main differences.
Thank you. Next question here. Brand reputation drivers seem to be based on perception. For example, HCP trust. How is it attributed?
That's for me, and I am trying to come up with an answer. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Maybe a little bit more. Let me say what brand reputation drivers are. I'm not sure this is going to necessarily answer the question exactly, but I can't quite see how to answer it. So the brand reputation drivers, yes, they're based on, well, the thing about it is some of it's based on perception and some of it's not. So some of it is, another way to think about it is some data is structured and some data is not. So for example, the efficacy is based on real hard data, right? Structured data. There are actual facts there about how effective one brand is versus another. A lot of it though is based on perception or what consumers think, right? So in the end, yeah, it's a combination of those two different things. So what do people think combined with what is an actual fact? And that's, I think, what makes it interesting too, because that's more real world. What people think is also based on facts too, but it not necessarily. So that, I think that combination of the two, structured and unstructured data, perception and reality, is what makes this AI brand reputation score and just way of thinking about AI, just way of thinking about brand reputation interesting.
Excellent. All right, next question. How can we influence AI overview or summaries, given that it pulls from multiple different sources, many of which we do not own?
Yeah, so I think that you can't really control, that's what we're talking about, control how you're being perceived. But the best goal, I would say, this environment to increase your influence. And the best ways to do this that we recommend, definitely number one, to be strengthen SEO across your own channels. That means like your websites, your own website, your Facebook organic page that AI is actually trolling and looking at, using clear structured content, being those content clusters, being comprehensive on topics is also really important, so that you have a big depth of information about the topic you're trying to own. We're also looking at changing the way you structure content so that concise answers for AI generated overviews to look at and to digest is really important. Also, by owning the conversation, not only like on Facebook organic, but looking at other forums like Reddit, where there's a lot of conversation happening. Engage in those forums, post and answer questions. AI models often scrape them. Also, even contributing to Wikipedia. That's also often a top source for AI and knowledge panels. Looking at your own the lanes that you do own, but also the areas where AI is often scraping, which is like Reddit and Wikipedia. Invest and contribute to, so that you just have that more ability to influence those ecosystems.
Great, thanks, Tricia. All right, let's see, question here that asks, how do we commission a custom AI reputation report for our brand, and how granular does it get?
So that's a question for me. So how do you commission it? Call us or email us, and we will take a look at it. And these will be customized based on your needs. Typically, a deeper dive reputation report, what it'll do is look at your brand versus two or three other competitive brands, and really drill into each of these reputation drivers in much more detail to understand, where the strengths and weaknesses are, both, in absolute terms for your brand, but also in comparative terms or relative terms against the other brands. The other areas where you'll go into much more detail is in terms of sentiment, and we'll drill all the way down to verbatims in terms of sentiment, so you can understand it more exactly, more granular way what people are actually saying about your brand. So that's primarily, but it is customized. So it is also a discussion to see what things that you really want to understand about your brand from an AI perspective.
Great. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Tricia. And I'm afraid that's all the time that we have for today. So if we were not able to answer your question, we will do our best to follow up after today's webinar. As a reminder, a recording of this session will be available on demand within 24 hours. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.